Friedman is the most popular rabbi on YouTube.
Manis Friedman.
YouTube's most popular rabbi.
He's a counselor, lecturer, and philosopher. Rabbi Manis Friedman combines ancient Torah wisdom with modern-day wit and purpose.
What do the halachas look like?
Are you allowed to kill civilians? What makes him a non-threat? Because he's not wearing a uniform.
So you're saying a human shield is not a civilian?
When two Arab nations are at war, there are no human shields. Why? And of course, the same is true with hostages. Two Arab countries are at war. They never take hostages.
Why is that? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Meaningful People podcast. This week, we sat down with Rabbi Manis Friedman, and it was a very, very interesting conversation. You know, you ever find yourself wondering, what are the halachas when it comes to war? Like, we see what's going on in Israel. I have this neighbor of mine that is telling me that so many civilians are being killed. It's not proportional. It's so many different things. And you hear a lot in the media. You hear a lot from people in the streets. What do you answer them? What do you say? What's your opinion? Well, as from Jews, we always turn to what the Torah says. And in this episode, we unpack piece by piece, break down what's going on and what does the Torah say about it? Because the Torah says a lot about war. Our blueprint, our guiding force for what we do is the Torah. So that's what we discussed with Rabbi Manis Friedman in this episode. And I'll challenge any of you, if you have any questions, if you're not sure about something, leave a comment below here on YouTube, and we will make sure that Rabbi Manis Friedman even answers it. So go ahead, leave a comment on this episode if you have any questions at all. Wanted to give a big thank you to our friends at Alpert and Associates for sponsoring this episode. Let me tell you guys something. I have been working with Moshe Alpert, financial planning, life insurance. He even worked on getting me and my family a good health insurance plan. But specifically for financial planning, every dollar that you put in for the plan that you do with him comes back multiple times. So reach out to Moshe Alpert, but reach out with serious inquiries. Like, don't just reach out and say, hey, I'm just maybe something I'm thinking about. No. It's time that you get hold of your finances. Be ready to take it seriously. Make sure that you're ready to invest in your future of financial freedom. Reach out to Moshe Alpert today at alpertmoshe@gmail.com or call him at 718-644-1594. And it's very important. Mention Meaningful People Podcast for a special introductory price when it comes to your financial plan. But I'm telling you, I've worked with him. I've seen what he does. It is all encompassing. So make sure you give him a call today. And once again, big thank you to Rabbi Manis Friedman coming to the studio. And of course, a big shout out to somebody who helped me out last night. I told you I'm going to give you a shout out on this episode. Zevi Jacobs, who helped me out big time. My good old neighbor. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Enjoy this episode, guys. You are listening to the Meaningful People podcast.
The podcast featuring our nation's most impactful, influential,
and meaningful people. You've been here before, you know, the world knows Rabbi Manis Friedman, the most popular, most subscribed to rabbi on the internet, primarily on YouTube. And you are a thought leader on all platforms, honestly. So with what's going on in the world, we thought it'd be very valuable to bring you in here and discuss and break it down. Something I remember from our last conversation is that you have a very impressive way of taking, complex ideas and breaking it down to make sense for people like me, redheads, So I guess I want to start and just, turn it over to you about what's going on in Eretz Yisrael. We see what's going on ever since October 7th. What comes to your mind? What are your thoughts around it?
There are so many angles to it and so many aspects. Like, why do Jews feel guilty? What can we do about that? And what is going on there? And the endlessness of it, on and on again. 70 years and nothing changes. Maybe this time will be different. We're hoping, that.
The guilt thing, when you touched upon that, are you referring to why we feel guilty for defending ourselves?
There's so many Jews who are self-blaming, like, we must be doing something wrong, or that kind of an attitude. So let's talk about that for a moment. What are the arguments or the accusations? First of all, there's civilians. Oh, the civilians, right? Then there's proportionality, killing too many. And then there's hostages, exchange, releasing, what was it, 1,200 for...
It was 1,000 to 1 for Shalit deal, but for this it was 150 for 50. It was 3 to 1 the ratio in this recent exchange.
So did you hear that one question that they asked?
I heard it on Sky News. I don't know if you heard, but the anchor sort of said to Elion Levy, he said, "Does this mean that Israel doesn't value Palestinian lives because you're releasing
3 to 1
3 Arabs for 1 Israeli? So you value Israeli lives more valuable to Palestinian than Palestinian lives?" In which he responded with a eyebrow raise, and he said, "We would love to give 1 for 1. We'd love to do
0 for 1.
We'd love to do 246 hostages for 1 Arab. This is not what we want to do." Which is it was a unbelievable question to ask anybody.
It's the world is upside down. It's completely. How come you're crying only over the Jewish kids who got killed? What about the Jewish kids are my kids? You cry over yours, I'll cry over mine. The arguments it's absurd. That look on his face was worth everything.
Yeah, he became a meme. He got a whole career off that one reaction. His eyebrows hit the ceiling.
Yeah,
and he's English, so he's "Oh, are you kidding me?" So it sounded a lot better. But you know what? For Jews, you're right. We have this sort of we go into the public, and I've been to Manhattan since this happened, and there's a lot of people on the internet who comment on our posts, comment on your posts, the civilian casualties, right? The killing, the proportionality. So halachas, straight up, this is a war, and we live by the Torah, and there's halachas. What do the halachas look like?
Right. What is Jewish morality? Because the other stuff is not moral at all. There's nothing moral about it. It's pure nonsense. So let's take a look. Civilians. Are you allowed to kill civilians? Oh, of course not. No, you're not allowed to kill civilians. What's a civilian? Someone who surrenders. Guy surrenders to you, you're not allowed to kill him. Why? He's not a threat anymore. Why should you kill him? But if he didn't surrender, what makes him a civilian? What makes him a non-threat? Because he's not wearing a uniform.
It would sound like you're saying there are kind of no civilians in the situation.
No, what I'm saying is it's not your responsibility to identify who your enemy's civilians are. They have to identify themselves, then you don't kill them.
So you're saying according to Halacha, a civilian...
They have to self-identify by surrendering.
A civilian is someone who surrenders.
Well, or some other way of identifying, but
when they cross...
I have to vet you and figure out that I'm busy shooting at you, and I have to figure out whether you're a civilian.
Well, when the Israelis opened up a passageway for Gazans to get from northern to southern, they were walking with a white flag. They weren't shot at.
Mm-hmm. So there are two things, actually. If he surrenders or if he's leaving, just wants to leave the country. If he wants to leave the country, he's not a threat. But the point of it all boils down to he's a civilian if he hasn't shot you yet. That makes him a civilian? What are you eliminating here? People who shoot at you? No, you're eliminating people who might shoot at you. You're eliminating a threat. You don't want to live under a threat. So before they shoot at you, they're already not civilians. If they're coming to shoot. Right?
How do you know if someone's going to become a threat or not?
That's right. And it's not your responsibility to figure that out.
It's their responsibility to choose whether they're civilian or not, you're saying?
and identify themselves. Yeah. Even their babies. Somebody has to identify the babies as non-militant.
Well, what's
they're
a
not being used as bait.
So you're saying human shield is not a civilian?
That's right. The tool of war. Now let's talk about that. It's shocking. When two Arab nations are at war, there are no civilians. Nobody ever talks about civilians. And there are no human shields. Why? Because what would be the point? Only with us, because we keep telling them that we won't shoot civilians. Now it pays for them to use civilians as shields. No other nation, no other country ever said, you'll be protected if you hide behind civilians. So they don't hide behind civilians. So it turns out that by saying we won't shoot a civilian, you've put every civilian into danger. We keep telling them.
So it's
Not once in a while. Every time a politician gets up to speak, we are very careful. We go very carefully. We check with the legal system to make sure it's not violating any laws. Oh, good. Now we know what to do. And of course, the same is true with hostages. Two Arab countries are at war. They never take hostages.
Why is that?
It won't do them any good.
It's not an effective strategy.
It's not effective.
Right.
The other country is not going to give back prisoners.
Is there, I'm curious, from the Torah lens, is there any halachas pertaining to an exchange of threatening prisoners for innocent lives?
Yeah, there's a famous story of Myram of Rottenburg, who was arrested, and they were going to ransom him, and he said no. You put every rabbi in danger all over the world.
And is that the correct mahalach?
Yes. How many people are going to die?
Well, you know, it's terrible what happened, but we do know that Yahweh Sinwar was released in the Gilad Shalit deal,
Yes.
and he's the mastermind of this attack. So unfortunately, in this situation, from the Shalit deal, we're able to know exactly how many people were killed immediately, which was thousands.
So even if you do intend to give everything in exchange for, don't announce it. Don't make it a negotiable deal or
Becomes a currency.
don't tempt them. It's
Meaning-
you're tempting them to use.
It's incentive to kidnap Jews
Yes.
because they're worth X amount of Arabs.
Yeah. All right. So with non-combatants, there is a halachic approach. You don't kill people who are not a threat. Makes so much sense. It's so moral. Nobody gets hurt. But this crazy interpretation that if he's not wearing a uniform, you're not allowed to kill him, which encourages them to. This is not moral. It's childish. It's literally immature. Now, proportionality. Is there such a thing?
Well, Israel didn't respond in proportion, meaning we didn't do to them what they did to us. Israel is a real army. They would never do what they did to us in terms of how far they've gone with the atrocities they committed.
Oh, but we killed so many more.
You know, this episode could be titled "How to Argue with," someone who's on the pro Hamas, pro
And
Palestinian.
it really isn't even an argument. It's like, just go back to school and learn something.
So
It's so absurd.
So teach us, Rabbi.
What does proportionality mean?
An eye for an eye.
Sounds like, right?
Mm-hmm.
We killed 10,000. The world was quiet. 11,000, everybody said, no, too much. Oh, I'm sorry, we should have stopped at 10,000. This is so ridiculous. What is this, potatoes you're counting here?
You're saying when it comes to proportion, even if you killed 5, if those 5 are not justified, then it's not proportional.
Yes.
It doesn't matter amount.
Right. So what would justify? If I can achieve peace by killing one person, then I'm not allowed to kill 2. Why should I? The objective is to bring peace. And peace means your enemy is so intimidated, they will not try again for 40 years. That's peace. If they're going to try again in 6 years, you haven't even finished this war.
Where does that, I'm just curious, where does that 40-year barometer come from? Okay.
30 years is also good. But not 6. 6 means you just didn't finish.
Mm-hmm.
You wait like 2-3 generations. The great-grandson doesn't remember the defeat, so he may have the courage to try again. But as long as they remember, they're not going to try again. That's called peace. It's a scary thought. Why was there World War II so soon after World War I?
Right.
With the same people. Germans. You defeated them just 10 years ago, and they're back at war with the whole world? World War I never finished. Really, you shouldn't even call it 2 wars.
1A, 1B.
And why didn't it finish? Because the German army was defeated. The German people never felt the war. There was no fighting in Germany. Without the internet, without the information highway, the Germans could be convinced that they won World War I. How would they know? If the propaganda chief says, we won, and make a parade, they would never know.
The riot is sort of World War II. Dresden, they felt it.
That's a scary thought. Had they finished World War I, there wouldn't have been World War II. And for us, that means
Finish the job.
there wouldn't have been a Holocaust.
Had they finished it. But what does it mean to finish it exactly? Because you can't just carpet bomb Germany.
We did.
In World War II, you're saying.
Right? In other words, you have to defeat the people who create the army, not just the army. If you defeat the army, they'll wait 10 years, the teenagers will become old enough, and they got a new army. New and improved. So you haven't finished. Okay, so proportionality means if you can achieve peace by killing one person, don't kill 2. If you achieve peace by killing 1,000, don't kill 1,001. But if you will not achieve peace unless you kill 50,000 and you stop at 40, that is so immoral because the 40 died for nothing. And that's your enemy, 40. And then you've got your own. All those people died for nothing because you didn't achieve peace. So proportionality means if you've achieved peace, stop. Not more, but also not less.
And I don't want to conflate for anyone this notion of peace when people have this idea that it's impossible to achieve peace with this particular enemy. Of course, you don't mean peace, negotiated at a table. Peace means the elimination of a threat. Peace means shalom and shalva and sheket.
Who came up with this brilliant insight? Well, you make peace only with an enemy. Who do you make peace with? With an enemy. Sure, after you defeat them. Not while they're shooting at you. But the absurdity of these arguments, it's embarrassing to have to even, every Israeli politician, everybody, over and over answering the question, yeah, we are careful, we're very careful, we don't. And it's so degrading to stoop to that level of conversation.
Well, they're playing, the public relations war, which they're never going to win.
They never won a single bout.
So you're saying just why play it?
Why? Yeah.
Just protect your people. And with what you're saying is that if Hamas, or whether it's Hamas or the PLO, whoever it was at any point, if, like you said, World War I never finished, and certainly over the last 60, 70 years, if these same enemies keep attacking, then they've never been defeated.
Yeah. I remember an interview, Meir Kahane was being interviewed. Some news station. And the anchor said to him, let me ask you this question. Imagine you own a house, or you lived in a house, and then you go away for 1,000 years, and other people move in. You come back after 1,000 years and you say, it's mine, get out. How am I supposed to wrap my head around this? And Meir Kahane said, I don't care if you don't. Who are you anyway?
You're living in my house.
You can't wrap your head around it? Go back to school. We degrade ourselves.
Even being in these conversations.
Yes. You have to justify yourself to a talking head.
This is what's taking place in the halls of power in the secular world, meaning even the president of the free world, the United States, calls on Israel to show restraint. How could you show restraint when you're trying to protect your people?
Right. And proportionality is so absurd, because if we really did act proportional, no one would ever win.
It would just be ping pong.
How do you win?
Yeah.
If you're not going to do something more than the enemy,
Every game's a tie.
By the definition of victory.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, it's so embarrassingly ridiculous. And it's immoral. It's immoral. If you stop before you have war, then whoever you killed, like you said, died in vain.
And that goes for the Israeli soldiers as well.
Of course.
Why hasn't that happened yet, though?
Now let's get to something really profound. How come we haven't made any progress whatsoever? There's a sefer came out, all the sichas that the Rebbe spoke about this issue. All the years, since 56. Open it up to any page. It sounds like he said it yesterday. Same issue. Again. Ceasefire. Stop in the middle. If it don't finish, starts again. What is it? I mean, we're supposed to be smart people. No progress whatsoever.
You're saying since October 7th, no progress?
No, since 1956.
Since 56. Okay.
The same problems, the same issues. After October 7th, after Simchas Torah, and Netanyahu said, this time, we're not stopping until it's over. But he stopped. Same thing every time.
He stopped to get, innocent Israelis back.
And because everybody demanded a ceasefire. I thought this time would be different.
You envy his position as being...
oh, no.
Right?
Big Rahmanas. Impossible. Possible condition. But let's really examine this thing. Al pi Torah. We have basically two enemies. Esav and Yishmael. Yishmael and Yitzchak, Esav and Yaakov. In the end, before Mashiach comes, V'olu Mashiach b'har Tzion lishpet har Esav. Esav has to do tshuva. Yishmael has to do tshuva, and then the world can settle down. So we know that there are 4 Goliaths. But the Arizal says that actually there's a 5th. And that is Golus Yishmael. And that's the hardest of them all, because he has a lot of schusim. Yishmael has, first of all, they never got into Avodah Zarah. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
They pray a lot. They're circumcised. They got a lot positive, right? So it's going to be much harder for them to do tshuva. But let's understand the difference between Yishmael and Esav. Esav is a hunter. He lives by the sword, right? That's what Torah says, clearly. Al harbu chatichya, you live by the sword, and he's an ish soda, yedei tzayid. He's a hunter. Interesting thing, hunters love trophies. You kill a bear, you don't destroy the evidence. On the contrary.
Put it up on the wall.
Yeah, you make a rug out of it, right? You kill a deer, hang it on the wall. The more people see it, the better. What did Rome, who are the descendants of Esav, what did they do when they destroyed the Beis Hamikdash? They took everything they could take with them because they're hunters. And they made a big display, the arch. Right, to show what they did. Esav doesn't want to kill Jews. He wants to abuse them. He wants to be victorious over them. He wants to take everything they have. But then he wants them to be there so that he can say, I beat those guys. If they disappear, it would be a shame. Even Christianity never wanted to eliminate Jews. They were never genocidal, because that would not be their victory if they can convert them all.
Right.
Yishmael is very different. Yishmael is not a hunter. What does it say about Yishmael? Pera Odom. He pretends to be an Odom. He likes to put up a good, he's hospitable, he's kind, he's generous, but if you don't accept his generosity, he'll kill you. But he's not out to kill. Why? Because between Yishmael and Yitzchak, the issue was not who gets to have Olam Hazeh and who gets to have Olam Haba. That was between Yaakov and Esav. Between Yishmael and Yitzchak, the question was, who inherits? The whole issue is inheritance. That explains everything. If there is one Jewish child anywhere in the world, he inherits Eretz Yisrael. If it's an inheritance, you don't have to be of an adult. A baby inherits. And it doesn't have to do anything to inherit. If you are the heir, you inherit. The land is Avraham's land. Everybody agrees. Now the question is, who inherits Avraham's land? So what does it say in the Torah?
Ki bi Yitzchak.
Ki lo yirash ben ha'oma hazes im beni im Yitzchak. Okay, that was a declaration of war. Oh boy. I am not going to inherit. To Esav, attacking Jews is a challenge. To Yishmael, the existence of Jews is a threat.
Sounds like it's like a family fight over inheritance.
But look at how now everything makes so much sense. Israel says, shouldn't, but does, we'll give you the West Bank, we'll give you Gush Katif, we'll give you your own state.
It's not good enough.
Not good enough. You can't give me my inheritance.
And like, if we think about why did, Yasser Arafat during Bill Clinton's, presidency, why did he turn down, was it Oslo, right? The Oslo Accords. Why did he turn down? It doesn't make sense. He was giving him majority of what we know of the old city, even.
The Barak.
Yeah. He was giving him all of it. And he said no. It's epigenetics, perhaps. It's going back to...
It's an insult. You're giving me my land? And you're the tzaddik? Even, I'll fight you for it. I will win, and I will capture the land. No. I don't capture my land. So it's not about the land. It's about who, not about what. Who is the heir?
We'll be right back to this episode, everybody. But first, a word from our friends at Town Appliance. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they said, so back in 1976, I was taking care of... I said, 1976? That's 3 years before Town Appliance came to the scene and took over the appliance world, because they have been doing their incredible work ever since 1979. And it's that season where we're using those ovens, we're using those deep fryers, we're using those dishwashers. Who has a deep fryer in the house? That's erroneous. Do you? I'm curious. Anyways, if you do, you probably got it from Town Appliance. Town Appliance is the go-to place when it comes to all appliances. And not only is it simple as going on their website and seeing what they have, seeing what they sell. My sister-in-law, she ended up on the phone with Town Appliance the other day. And she told them, hey, can you help me out? And they're like, totally, sure. And she said, by the way, I heard you on Meaningful People podcast. And they said, so many people have told us that. We are so happy that we're partners with them. And I am so happy that I'm partners with Town Appliance, because they are number one at what they do. So make sure to reach out at townappliance.com or hit the link in the show notes of this episode. You can message them on WhatsApp. How cool is that? Message them on WhatsApp. Say, hey, by the way, looking for a new appliance. Maybe it's a fridge, dishwasher, washing machine, whatever it is. Give them a call. Message them on WhatsApp. Go to their website. That is townappliance.com. Arguably the concert of the year, Symphony of the Stars, featuring Benny Friedman, Avram Fried, Ishai Ribo, Shalom Lemmer, Mordechai Shapiro. There's going to be a special guest appearance by Shai Abramson. This is happening very soon, December 16th. It's a Motzei Shabbos at 8:30 p.m. in the United Palace. That's 4140 Broadway, New York. Make sure to get your tickets right now at symphonyofthestars.org. This concert is benefiting United Hatzalah, and it's a Mendy Hershkowitz production. What can be better than that? Hope to see you there. This is going to be incredible. So if what you're saying, following this train of thought, if let's say, Chas v'shalom, the land was controlled by the Palestinians, and the Jews were given the same exact places they have right now, there'd be no war? The Palestinians say, oh, it's ours, and we're letting them live there. There'd be no war?
No.
Why not?
Because the existence of a Jew threatens
because the threat exists.
Right.
So then they're genocidal people.
But now you know why.
Well, how do you make peace?
Not just for the land.
Yeah. Just
the principle of the matter. And that's why a single Jewish baby is the enemy.
But these ideas are not on the minds of these terrorists when they're committing terror. It makes sense, we're saying, Al Pi Torah.
Superficial people are not always aware of the pneumius of what's going on.
But do you think they're acting based on the pneumius?
Yeah.
Pneumius is what drives everything.
Well, I think belief drives everything. What do they believe? And they believe it deeply. That they are the inheritors of Avraham. That Avraham took Yishmael to the Akedah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what they believe.
Yeah.
Put your question in the context of just observing Yiddishkeit. There's a tremendous amount of Pneumius HaTorah. Is every Yid aware of what they're doing? Are they aware of the yichud, of the shemus that they're doing when they put on their tefillin every morning?
It's true.
They're not always aware of that.
Did the people who went to that song festival realize they were dancing because it was Simchas Torah?
Exactly.
Wow.
Did they understand the Kedoshim that they were? People are not always aware of that.
We interviewed Yossi Landau last week, and he had said that the people who say, what's going on, Chilul Shabbos, Supernova Festival, these people, when they called it terrorists, they found papers on them that they were going to go as far as Ashdod, in Bati Midrashim in Ashdod. The festival wasn't, I don't know if it was on their map. Those 300 people killed at that festival saved hundreds of other Yidden.
Right, but even that, he was being megalis something in Chitzonius. What Rabbi Friedman is offering you is that those people that were dancing at the music festival in Pneumius, they were dancing Simchas Torah. They weren't aware of that. They didn't know what was going on. But their neshamas were dancing.
See, unbeknownst.
Sure.
Every action you do is powered.
Another getting off the subject a little bit. 50 years ago, the Milchama was Yom Kippur.
Yeah.
This year, it was Simchas Torah, or Shmini Atzeres. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so significant because for the rest of history, for the rest of time, it will be called Milchemes Yom Kippur or Milchemes
Simchas Torah,
Shmini Atzeres. It makes it so clear who are the attackers and who was attacked. In case anybody gets confused, who are the attackers? Murderers or rapists, Who was attacked? Yom Kippur people or Shmini Atzeres people. And look at, this is like the deep theme is what was the mood after the Yom Kippur War? Like the next month or two. It was like a Yom Kippur mood. People were sobered. The first time, a surprise attack. Why, It was a very Yom Kippur mood. Like Yom Kippur lasted for 2 months. Look what's happening now. Everybody's dancing. This is crazy. Everybody's dancing.
It's a Meshuna de Gezach. We were just commenting how we're sitting here on the brink of Hanukkah, and we could smell.
Is not over.
It's still Isru Chag.
That's right.
We're still dancing Hakofis.
That's right.
And Hanukkah's all about the victory. We had the victory.
It's all significant. It's all okay. So going back to Yishmael, it makes sense that they don't really want 2 states.
Right.
That's an insult. You're going to give me my state when I'm the heir and I'm the right. They don't see civilians among Jews. There are no Jewish civilians, and every baby is the enemy. It makes sense because every baby and every Jew is an inheritor, is an heir, which is the threat. But that also tells us what our reaction should be. Now we understand why offering territory hasn't made anything better, has made it worse.
It just emboldens them more.
Because it proves,
it's insulting.
Because it proves that we don't really believe that it's our inheritance. Because if it was your inheritance, why are you giving it away? You're feeling guilty. It plays right into their beliefs. And by the way, if it is an inheritance, and it is, we can't give it away.
It's not ours to give.
Because, first of all, it belongs to every Jew, not to 5 guys sitting in the Knesset.
Mm-hmm.
What is that called? The War
Cabinet?
The War Cabinet?
Yeah.
But more than that, it belongs to every future Jew. Hasn't even been born yet. It also explains why the Torah mentions it over and over, and it's an inheritance once and for all. Say it to Avraham, and you don't have to repeat it. No. He repeats it to Yitzchak, and he repeats it to Yaakov, and he repeats it to Moshe Rabbeinu, and he repeats it to Yeshua. Torah knows our weakness. We can't stand up for our rights. So what would be the right answer? So first of all, it's like a stab in the heart every time an Israeli politician says we have the right to defend ourselves. It's so pathetic. Every kid in a schoolyard says, I have a right to defend myself. It's just so...
It's elementary. Of course you do.
And it's not a right, it's an obligation. The whole thing is just pathetic. And then the only democracy... How many times are you going to say that? And will you check and see if it ever got you anywhere? Did it ever do any good to say you're a democracy? Being a democracy in the Middle East is the problem, not the solution. You're living in a religious environment, and you keep telling them how secular you are. What are you thinking? What are you expecting? Insanity means doing the same thing and
expecting different results.
Yeah.
So what are you suggesting?
Oh. The first thing is we have to tell the world with absolute confidence we are the chosen people. Ki beYitzchak yikara l'chazora v'lo yirash ben ha'om ha'azais im b'ni im Yitzchak. Not only because the Torah says so, but because Yishmael, the original, admitted it. When Avraham died, Yishmael came to the Levaya, and Yitzchak went in front. Because he knew Yitzchak is the inheritor. Now his children, so to speak, his ideological children, have to realize the same thing and do tshuva. But our job is to let the world know that Avraham's children, not ideological children, ideologically we're not exactly his children, if you're dancing in that, right?
Yeah.
But biologically, we are the factual inheritors of this land. So back off. Now, how powerful is that argument? I can imagine people saying, oh, so you think you're the inheritor, so why will that convince anybody? See, that's because you're thinking like Esav. Israel behaves in its war with Yishmael as if it's fighting Esav. Because in Europe, for 2,000 years, we have been fighting Esav. Don't realize this is not the same guy? The Torah says, Rashi, right? The first Rashi in Torah. Why does the Torah begin with Chumash Bereshis? The entire Chumash should start with the first mitzvah. To tell you that if the time comes when the nations will say, you stole our land, we will tell them, Bereshis Bora Elikim. And God gives the land to whoever he chooses. That's why we have the whole Sefer Bereshis. To show how the land became ours, because the Eibishter took it from Canaan. First he gave it to Canaan, then he took it from Canaan and he gave it to us. Same question. Oh, so now that we have that answer, we're safe? We're going to just get up in the world and say, haven't you looked in Rashi?
Ferish Rashi.
Have you Ferish Rashi? And you think people are going to be impressed? The answer is absolutely.
Really? Well, first we need the confidence. First we have to know what the Rashi says before we can stand up to the world.
That's the hope with an episode like this, is that people can have that confidence and that, and not waver on this.
And have the confidence not only that you're right, but that when you say it, everyone will buckle.
It reminds me, I bumped into Rabbi Lazar by the aisle, chief rabbi of Moscow, and I asked him, how do students on campus respond to anti-Semitism? And his response, which I think is similar to what you're saying in a way, is if you put up your mezuzah and if you look Jewish, more and more and more, they're not gonna mess with you. If you start taking it off and you start hiding it, you go, oh, is that a Jew? Is that a Jew? The more Jewish you look and the more Jewish you become, and openly, they're going to be scared. They're going to walk away.
And it's such a simple thing. Bullies only pick on people who act weak. They don't start up with people who have confidence.
And sharks attack when they taste blood.
Yeah, that's so common. So I got to tell you this story. When Golda Meir was prime minister, she was on her way to the United States for a summit meeting with Nixon, right? So there was a press conference before she arrived. And the spokesman was asked, what are they going to be discussing? And of course, it was the same issues, 2 states, whatever it was. But then he says, as a joke, he says, I just hope she doesn't come here with a Bible under her arm and say, it's our land, it's written in the Bible. And everybody chuckled. But Gershon Jacobson was there from
the Morning Tug.
From the Allgemeiner.
And the Morning Tug.
Yeah. So he said to the guy, he was part of the press.
Yeah.
So he said to him, would it bother you if she did come with a Bible and say? And he got really serious. And he said, look, we're not officially a Christian country, but if somebody quotes the Bible, we don't realize this is our strongest weapon.
Our Torah, you're saying our Torah argument is the strongest weapon. It's not but is the country now the same as it was then? I would say the country is right now more lacking religion than it was.
Yeah, Christianity.
Yeah,
but in the Middle East, more.
But it seems like America is a big issue here in this war. No.
You know what happened? Dinah was raped, kidnapped, and Shimon and Levi go in and wipe out the whole, all the adult male, right? Correctly. And Yaakov says, oh, now the whole country is going to turn against us and they'll all come attack. Nobody came and nobody attacked. Nobody liked Shechem and nobody liked Hamor. Nobody cared.
And nobody's letting in.
Shver told me a Meir de Gevart. He said first they had everyone get a bris milah before they wiped them out. So he said, why? I think he said from Rabbi Manis Friedman, he said, because if they would have killed out a bunch of goyim, it would have been a big rash. First they made him into Yidden, and they wiped out a bunch of Yidden. No one made it. No one said boo. The world looked the other way.
You were stupid enough to do that, I didn't bother. But this is the at some point, I don't know if it was in the 70s, the Middle East, maybe after Khomeini took over Iran, the whole place became much more religious. They were moving in a secular direction, and then all of a sudden I was like, whoa. So for the Muslims, the Torah is holy. They claim we forgot, we don't know anymore. So we'll tell them, we didn't forget anything. This is what it says. Yishmael thinks he inherits. He's not like Esav. So it is the most powerful, the most convincing, because it's emes.
Mm-hmm. We'll be right back to this episode of the Meaningful People podcast. First, I mentioned it last week's episode. I want to mention it again. This game has been going crazy in my house. We got Hanukkah parties coming up, and the Kichelet game is on fire. Make sure if you're heading to any of your Judaica stores to pick up this game or go to Amazon and get this game. It is loads of fun, tons of laughter, and the Kichels know from culture, from humor. So it's safe, it's amazing. A lot of fun. Make sure you get your hands on it. Wanted to tell you guys that I am so honored to be spending Pesach with Bordeaux. So I would love to see you there. Make sure that if you're interested, you go to pesachwithbordeaux.com or you give them a call at 347-699-6120. Amazing group of people. Rabbi Daniel Kalish, I know, will be there. Rabbi Jonathan Rietti, Mordechai Shapiro, Shimi Adar. Pesach with Bordeaux is going to be loads of fun. And I hope to see you there. So give him a call today. Enjoy the rest of this episode.
I want to tell one other story. You probably heard it. On a campus, a couple of weeks ago, there was a very nasty pro-Hamas rally. And all the Jewish students were feeling very helpless. Until one professor, Jewish professor, gets up publicly and he started screaming and the police came and arrested him for his own safety. I thought it would start a real riot. The next day he comes to class to teach. And he is famous for being an atheist. Like he makes it clear to everyone, like, I am the atheist. Anyway, he comes to class to teach his class, and a student comes over to him and gives him a bouquet of flowers. He says, "What is this?" She said, "I was so proud yesterday when you got up and you said what you said. I just had to get you the flowers." He says, "You're Jewish?" Obviously, she didn't look Jewish. She says, "No." He says, "So what do you mean you were proud?" She says, "It was so good to see the chosen people act like the chosen people."
Wow.
Punchline is, he said, "Oh, you know I don't believe that." And she said, "Whether you believe it or not, we know it's true." It's just a student.
Gewalt.
They know it's true.
We have to know.
We have to be confident that they take it seriously. It's not because we're going to tell them that we are Jewish and they're all going to, they know you're Jewish. They know it. It's the most established fact of history. That's another thing. Somebody said, "Well, what makes you think you're chosen?" "Oh, you don't know we're chosen? I have nothing more to talk to you about. Go back to kindergarten. I'm not going to debate this with you. You don't know that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel? Then you don't know anything. You shouldn't be part of this conversation."
Something you said before I thought was stunning, that in order for the light of Mashiach to be revealed, what that requires is that all of those factions of the Umas Olam, as you mentioned, will do tshuva. And I want to invite you to empower people with their emunah, b'chol yom achak Eloi, b'chol yom sheyavoi, that Mashiach, the light of Mashiach, can be revealed mamish today, even as we encounter such embodiment of evil that seems so distant from this tshuva that you speak of, and almost like Schwerze Gläuben, that the state of the union in the world today is such that at a moment's time, U'mala Haaretz De'as Hashem, that this tshuva can occur at any moment. When we see the world in such disrepair and just such disarray, how can that process just occur?
I was just having this discussion in Montreal over Shabbos. People are saying, Jews, obviously we don't deserve Mashiach yet. Obvious. There is no question that we deserve Mashiach. The question is, are we ready for Mashiach? It's a completely different question. You can be the best kid in the world, but are you ready to learn Tanya? You're not ready. Not because you're bad. What would it take to be ready? Don't talk about deserving, because we deserve it over time. But obviously we're not ready. Because look at the world. You think the world is ready to do tshuva?
The reframe puts the onus on us instead of Hashem. Meaning, we don't deserve it is like, I don't know.
Our fault.
Yeah. And are you ready is more of a, they'll do something about it.
Of course we have to do something. but not because we don't deserve. So to go looking, which Aveda are we still that is so evil, literally evil? So that's interesting. The Baal Shem Tov was speaking to Moshiach. And he asked him, when are you coming? That question was already asked in the times of the Gemara. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi met Moshiach and said, when are you coming? Exactly the same words. And Moshiach said, Hayom. The day went by and he didn't come. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi met Eliyahu and said, how come Mashiach said he's coming today and he didn't come? So Eliyahu explained to him, Mashiach was referring to the pasuk, Hayom im b'koilei tishma'u. If you will listen to God, then he'll come today. All right. Now the Baal Shem Tov meets Mashiach and says, when are you coming? Didn't you read the Gemara? You know the answer. It'll be today if you start listening. So why did he ask again?
Mm-hmm.
The answer must be the Baal Shem Tov was convinced that we are listening. We are fulfilling that condition. Not as good as we used to be? Well, you got to take circumstances into account. Under these circumstances, we are doing exactly. So the question now is, when are you coming? So Mashiach says, when your teachings will become public property, widespread, right? Which teachings? Here's what I think. If a rabbi would meet Mashiach today, what would he ask?
When are you coming?
The average rabbi would say, what are we doing wrong? Are we talking too much Lashon Hara? Are we not watching our eyes enough? We're on the internet too much? Are we dancing in the streets in Israel on Simchas Torah? What are we doing wrong? The Baal Shem Tov took the opposite approach. Don't. We're not doing anything wrong. When are you coming? And the Mashiach said, when everybody talks like you. Stop blaming Jews and then complain why Mashiach isn't coming. You just condemn them.
Wow.
So saying that we don't deserve is literally anti-Semitic. Because under the conditions, people say, well, isn't there reward and punishment? Schar and einish? Yeah, schar if you deserve it, and punishment if you deserve it. The fact that there is reward and punishment means we have to get punished? What kind of cheshbon is that? 3,000 years that we haven't heard from Hashem. 3,300. Haven't heard. He spoke to us once. 2,000 years of Golus.
10 million years too long.
Right. Unbelievable, inhumane, impossible conditions. And now you come and say, you know why Mashiach is not here? Because you're bad. That is such a chilul Hashem. What
You know what we would say here about that? We would say erroneous.
Nah, that's erroneous.
Yeah.
Shut that down.
Zero tolerance.
Mm-mm.
It's so bad. You're making the Eibishter sound like an anti-Semite. He doesn't talk to us for 3,000 years, puts us through the most unimaginable misery, and then he's angry at us because we talk Lashon Hara? And what is the punishment? A massacre of... This is like, how can you be so vicious?
Mm-hmm.
And then blame it on Hashem?
Oy. It's a beautiful taich in L'kashay Afutza Ma'anasecha Achutza. Baal Shem Tov was saying, we are ready. Where are you, Mashiach? And Mashiach was answering, when everyone says what you're saying, when everyone is in that position of saying we are ready and Klal Yisrael is ready today, then that'll be the day I'm here.
There's a clip of dollars by the Rebbe's dollar line. This very good Jew, very big famous rabbi, says to the Rebbe, I've traveled recently and I see that Jews in many countries don't have parnasa because they don't have kavana when they say poseach es yadecha in Ashrei. So we need to make a bracha that they should have parnasa. The Rebbe says, wait. Are you for them or against them? You want them to have more parnasa, and you condemn them that they shouldn't have parnasa because they don't have kavana? Are you for us or against us? What are you doing? So you say, we want Mashiach now. Oh, but of course he's not going to come because what are you doing? So anybody who speaks of Jews being unworthy or worthy of punishment should be defrocked.
Does that mean to take their frock off?
I don't know how you take a back smicha.
Oh.
How do you take back smicha?
What does defrocked mean? Do you know?
Yeah,
I think that's
a priest wears a frock.
Oh, okay.
Some
people also wear frocks, like Hasidim.
Yeah. So it's terrible. Anyway, so what do we need to be ready for Mashiach? The world, not just Jews. We're more than ready. Also, I think when the Rebbe said, we want Mashiach now, some people said, oh, that's chutzpah. What are you saying to the Eibishter? We want Mashiach now? You missed the whole point. We means Eibishter and us. What do you think? Eibishter doesn't want Mashiach? Oh, we want Mashiach. He doesn't? Are you kidding? So the Rebbe is saying, we all want Mashiach, so what's the problem?
But who's the Rebbe saying it to? That's like...
The Eibishter. We all want... You want it as much as we do. So who's stopping it? What's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
So what would it take to be ready? Number one, the most obvious. The world has to be ready to accept leadership because Mashiach is a leader, not a miracle person. People have to listen to what he has to say. Is the world ready to listen? Never so ready in all of history. Because ask anyone in the world, who's your leader? We don't have. There's no leaders anymore. Biden is the leader in America. Right. Please bring Mashiach. There's no leader. Religion doesn't lead. Education makes you worse. It's all over. There's no hope anymore. The world is desperate for a leader who makes sense, who says emes, who talks moral. We don't have. So the world is so ready. Number two, morally, godly, what has to happen when Mashiach comes? Everyone is going to become good. Everyone's going to behave himself. That sounds like a miracle. And Mashiach can't be a miracle. Mashiach has to be the world became better. If you need a miracle, it means the world is still rotten. What will it take to make better? There is selfish and there's godly. That's it. I mean, that's the simple breakdown. Am I living for me or am I serving him? It's very simple. Serving him has always been a religious concept. If you're religious, if you're spiritual, if you believe, but if you're normal, serving him is sanity. Serving yourself is insanity, it is depression, it's unhealthy. It boils down to a simple thing. Are you going to live your life needy, or are you going to realize that you are needed? That's it. That's the whole challenge. If you feel needy, you're thinking about yourself. You're devoted to taking care of your needs. You're already depressed. As soon as you start feeling needy, you're already depressed. Life already is not fair. What did I do? And all of a sudden, I have needs. Not my fault. Life stinks. I have to go to school. I have to get a job. Why? What did I do? I didn't bother anybody. And all of a sudden, I am burdened with demands and with obligations and with... You're already depressed. On the other hand, if you don't feel needed, nothing is going to make up for it. A human being needs to be needed more than he needs to be loved. The emphasis on being loved, love your kids, love your child, that is so not Jewish. Love is not what keeps you alive. Being needed. Because if you're not necessary, then no matter how many people love you, you're not going to hang around. What am I, your entertainment? I actually had this experience with a kid who tried to kill himself, and the minister or the chaplain said to him, "Oh, you mustn't kill yourself. God loves you." And the kid said, "That's stupid." He was only 14. He wasn't exactly articulate, but he was right. That's stupid. I'm killing myself because why not? I'm not necessary. Nobody needs me. Oh, but I shouldn't kill myself because God loves me. What am I, his pet? You can't tell a human being, hang around so that someone can love you. That's good for a gerbil. Nobody needs a gerbil. But if you're cute, that is so depressing, right? What has happened in the world in the last month? Even in Israel. Before Simchas Torah, people were out in the streets marching. In Tel Aviv. What were they marching? They needed something to go their way. They wanted the Supreme Court to, my way, my way, my way, my way. The country was torn apart over people's opinion and people's need. Overnight, that changed. Look at what's happening. It's so clear. People are not thinking about themselves at all. They're in the streets marching for a cause. And when you see these pictures of thousands of people in the streets, don't they have a job? Don't they have a house? Go home and make dinner or something. For hours and hours marching and screaming and carrying the... For what? And this is in London. And what are they marching for? Palestinians. What is going on here? Yeah, you can say they're wrong, they're bad, they don't understand. Where is this selflessness coming from? Why do you care what's happening in Australia? You're upset because of what's going on. The world has now discovered, I need to do something necessary. I need to be part of some, whom can I serve? What needs me? Who needs me? Which cause? Yeah, I can go home and make supper. Not interested. And for the Jews, for sure. We can't think about ourselves. We're too busy thinking, what can we do? People are sending money, people are sending toys, they're not even sure they're necessary. They don't care. We got to do something for. We suddenly have gone from being needy people to being needed. That's ready for Mashiach.
Here of Yemenu.
Amen.
When's it coming?
When everyone adopts this perspective.
So we need like
It's
15
even
million people
closer
to
than
launch
that.
this?
When everybody realizes we just did adopt it. We're doing it and we don't even realize we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be brazenly Jewish.
And Jewish means,
I heard once, we ask for a lot of different things in Shemona Esrei. We ask for refuah, we ask for bracha, we ask for slicha, we ask for so many different things. But only when it comes to Shuvcha L'Tziyam B'Rachamim do we ask for the Eibishter to open our eyes to the Geula. Why don't we ask Hashem to open our eyes to the refuah and to open our eyes to the bracha? And I've heard very beautifully is very often the Geula is right here, ready to be activated. We just have to open our eyes to it.
and that's not mystical.
It's practical.
It's something you could see if you just opened your eyes, right? So the same thing in Kedusha. We say, the Eibishter should soon tell us, Hein go'alti eschem achris kevreshes. You know what that means? I did already. Not I'm going to. Hello, I've taken you out.
Hello.
Hein go'alti eschem. We're not going to notice. Taka says that Mashiach comes behesach hadas. It's going to happen, and we're not even going to know that we. So it's not just it could happen; it's happening, and we're blind.
Do you think it's happening right now?
Yes.
Did you think that 5
The
years ago?
mood right now. Oh,
No?
the mood right now is, give me a mission. Tell me, give me a job. Tell me who I should be serving. What do I need? Gone, forgotten.
Gewalt.
Rabbi Manis.
Can we end with a Dvar Torah?
Please. I think that was one big Dvar Torah, but please.
What have we been talking until now?
That was current event.
Yes. Current Dvar Torahs.
This is also current events. Concerning Shmini Atzeres, there's the famous story that the ger, or the potential ger, came to Hillel and said, I will convert if you give me the whole Torah on regel achas, which we understand to mean standing on one foot. There's a much deeper taich. I think it comes from the Ruzhiner Rebbe. He says, we all know there are sholish regolim, 3 legs. There are sholish regolim. Pesach, we came out of Mitzrayim. Shavuos, we received the Torah. Sukkos, traveled for 40 years in the Midbar, right? This guy came and said, okay, that I understand, but what is the regel achas? The regel that is not part of the sholish regolim. It's regel bifnei atzma. Shmini Atzeres. And his question is, what happened on Shmini Atzeres? Why is it a chag? Nothing happened. Sukkot ended. That's all that happened. So why is it a yontif? So what did Hillel say? Avas Yisrael.
Mada'alach loisani.
What is Shmini Atzeres? Shmini Atzeres is that during the 7 days of Sukkot, all the nations brought karbonis. There were 70 nations and 70 karbonis were brought on Sukkot. Then the Navi says that after Mashiach comes, any nation, non-Jewish nation, that doesn't bring a korban on Sukkot will not get rain, they won't get blessings, they won't get... At the end of Sukkot, Yontif is over. All the nations brought their korban and it's done. And Hashem says to the Yidden, don't leave yet. They're all in Yerushalayim, right? They came up Oile Regel. So they're all there, and Yontif is over, and they're thinking, okay, we'll go home. So Hashem says, no. Stay an extra day, just us. The other nations are leaving. Good. Now this is just for us. Nothing happened except Avas Yisrael. So the whole point of Shmini Atzeres is the Eibishter's Ahava for Yidden. For no reason. It doesn't need a reason. When all the nations came, the Eibishter said, yeah, but you're different. You stay another day. So the guy asked, what happened Shmini Atzeres? So Hillel said, what are you kidding? Avos Yisrael. But not just the Eibishter's Ava. If he has that kind of Ava to make a Yontif just out of being together, then our Avos Yisrael, So we'll see eventually the fact that it happened on Shmini Atzeres. People can take it as, you see, he doesn't like us. He's angry at us. On Shmini Atzeres?
Avos Yisrael.
What are you talking about? Well, he has a funny way of showing it. He does.
Don't we all?
But it's so necessary to look deeper because the contradiction is on Shmini Atzeres, the Eibishter is angry at us? That's crazy. Can't be. It can't be. What did they do there at that festival,
Music, dancing. What do you mean, who? The terrorists?
The people. No.
The people? They're dancing.
Dancing. That's not a sin. They were dancing around a statue. A golden statue. They do it every year. Oh, Avodah Zarah. These are not people worshiping an idol. These are secular people. They go there to get drunk and have fun. What's with the statue? It's a joke. It's a joke. They're ridiculing it. It's like a parody on idolatry. So people say, "Oh, it's like the Egel Hazov." It was the tikkun for the Egel Hazov. When you make fun
Make it a gelechter.
When you make fun of Avodah Zarah, you destroy it.
Gewalt. Rabbi Manis, thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you for coming in today.
What's the bottom line?
What is the bottom line?
The bottom line is, as you started saying, not take down your mezuzahs, put up a bigger one. Not hide your menorah, make it bigger.
Massive. Get those car menorahs out there.
It is the most powerful thing we can do, both for ourselves, to make ourselves a little more, somebody said, we have to heal from Golus, and the first thing is our posture. Golus is a very bad posture. Stand up straight.
We have to fortify ourselves.
That would fortify ourselves, and it would really change the world.
Lo lefached.
Be mefarsim the nes, that is Klal Yisrael.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we still need a nes. The war, we need a nes. That's unfortunate, because all these years the Eibishter has been our miracle. The coming of Mashiach means we become the Eibishter's miracle. We got to do that.
Amen.
Not wait for a miracle, but become the miracle. And we are. Just let the world know. Wait. I'm in the airport. This guy comes over to me years ago. He comes over, he sits down, and he launches into a sermon. Every word in the Bible is true. It's the truth. It's the word of God. It's the Bible. All right. He goes on for about 15 minutes, and then he says, "Oh, excuse me, but what is your relationship with the Bible?" He said, "Relationship, yeah." I said, "My relationship, I'm a Kohen. So Aaron is my grandfather, Moshe is my uncle, and Miriam is my aunt." The guy's mouth dropped open, and he mumbled something and walked away. And I'm wondering, the man just gave me a sermon that every word in the Bible is true. Why was he so shocked? Really, why was he so shocked? Because when people say it's true, they don't mean it's true. They mean we believe it's true. But you're his grandson? Freaked him out. I mean, it's like really,
Actually true. It's like tangible.
like it's true. Not
true.
Not religiously true. And I'm afraid that a lot of people, if you ask them, is Torah emes? So if you tell non-Jews that this is what the Torah says, they'll all listen? Nah. We think it's true. They think it's true. They're true. You tell them, we are the descendants. We are the children of Israel. That's written on every page in the Bible. That's us. Nothing more powerful.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode or watching this episode. You know, I kind of, when I was listening to Rabbi Manis say this in person, I was thinking like, this is like the perfect blueprint for if I'm in a debate with somebody who, you know, takes the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas stance, which is erroneous, but unfortunately it happens. This is our land. We inherited it. We have to be unapologetically Jewish. If you have any questions at all, again, make sure to comment it below on this channel. We'll make sure you get your answers. But this was an important episode to do. Rabbi Manis Friedman has a wealth of knowledge, and we are so happy to dive into this topic and make sure that we can cover the basis, because it's not like, oh, well, you know, yeah, they did kill a lot of people, but there's a reason. The Torah says things about everything. And the best we can do is follow Torah in our lives. And Mirz Hashem, we should be Matzliach. And I heard in the end of this episode about Mashiach. God willing, this will be the last episode that we put out before Mashiach. Meher v'Yameinu. Amen. See you guys. Thank you so much. Have a Freilich Hanukkah.